So we're here to solve this Arrow Sudoku by Zoltán Horváth called Up and Down. And it's a pretty clean theme. We always have an arrow with then 3 more cells as part of the sum, and it's always in a shared column. So one thing to note at the start is the smallest value can go in one of these is 6. That's forced by 1 plus 2 plus 3. The largest is 9, and there are lots of options for it. But here's a case where, because we can't put a 1 in the cell, 2 plus 3 plus 4 requires this to be a 9. And so one of the starting points is recognizing that pattern in this puzzle. We're left with a 6 and 7 in these cells, and right now nothing that points out which is which. But coming to the middle, another place we can get started is actually on the other end. Ones often want to be along arrows, particularly in this kind of constraint, and so we get a 1 needs to be in these cells, but can't be in that 3 cell sum. So 1 is in here. There's no 2 that goes in this space, and this bulb also sees 9, 6, and 7 already, so where this has to be larger than 6, the only value left is an 8. And actually, from what is left in the column, the only sum that works for this right now is 1 plus 3 plus 4. 5 and 9 to finish this out, and there's a 5 in the second row, so we get these placements. Just looking at some other values, let's go through some of the big numbers. 8's got to be in here. We're going to have a 9 in one of these cells. 5 coming across here. 3 coming across here. Over in the space, 9 is limited to just this cell. 9 can be in either of these. 9 has to be vertical here. And here's a case like 6 looks like it has to come across here, but 6 only works if this gets as large as 9. So it's actually 6 is a big value, can't fit in here. It's got to come down here. And this may be where it's probably as helpful like look at a large column like this and say, well, you still have to place a 7 and 8 in it, and none of them are this cell. So how does that work? Well, 8's got to be at the start of this arrow. 7 is not on the arrow or in the cell, so 7 is up top. 7 can't be in this 3-cell arrow. This is 7 and 9. And so this is going to be a sum. We know for sure this is a 2-3 cell, but we can work from this. This 8 seeing this value alongside the 9 means this is a 6 or 7. So actually a different way to notate this would just be seeing that this has to be 1 plus 2 plus 3 or 1 plus 2 plus 4. So there's a force 1 and a force 2. And that 1 means that there's a 1 in one of these cells in the second column, but it has to then be part of the sum. That's also noted by seeing that a 9 can't go in the sum, so this has to be 6, 7, 8. But there's a 7 up top, so this is just 6 or 8. 8 can't be 1, 2, 5, so it has to be 1, 3, 4. So across these, there's always a 3 in the sum, and we know there's a 3 pointing pair here. So I can say this is confidently a 3. I don't know more than this is a 2 or a 4, but we're making headway through just looking across the grid like this. This 8 looks like it has to be 1 plus 2 plus 5. So this is 2, this is 1, 5, 1, 5. We can finish this column with this 4. This 2 coming across is now canceled from the cell, and this 2 over here actually cancels this cell. So I only see this cell left for a 2. Puts a 2 down here. Still thinking with that kind of mentality, we want to get some values over here, and those 7s again look like they sit here, but the arrow rule says it has to dodge, and the arrow can't sit here, so the 7 has to be in one of these cells. This is now like a 1, 5, 6 row, and actually over here is 1 and 5 already, so this is 6 with 1 and 5 to go, and that 5 is going to be tricky to work with the sum up here. So this can't be a 9 or an 8. This is a 6 or a 7 in this bulb. 5 never fits with that, so this is a 1 with a 5. This will always have a 2. It could have a 3 or 4 to finish it. Notice the 3 and 4 are already in this box, so the only value that works for this arrow is a 2 here, puts a 3, 4 here, and actually this is now a pair. Not sure I'm going to be using it, but it is a pair in the space. What I'm actually more seeing is that these 5s eliminate and force this to be a 5 and a 1, which should give us some quicker progress on this side, because we now have all the 1s that can be placed. So still 3, 4 options to go. Do we know any of these values for sure now? Well, placing this 1 now means this is another 2, 3, 4 arrow, and this has to be a 9. And that 9, that means we've got a 9 in the space with a 5 in the space. That 2, 3, 4 leaves behind 6 and 8, so here's 8, 6, and 6 means this is now a 7. That does force this to be 4 with a 3 up top. This now means 3 and 4 moving up. This means 4 and 3 moving up. That leaves behind 4 and 2, which means this have to be a 7 with a 6. And actually, when we got the 6 down here, we could have resolved that. It makes this an 8, which now finally forces this as a 4. 2's got to come down and work alongside it over here. Puts in this 8. We have a 3 and 5 to go in the space, so those have to be these. 2 and 7 in this, and the 2 has to be in the left because of the options we've got around. 6 coming in here, we need 6 with 3. That 3 is now forcing a 3 in the cell. We have 7 and 5 to finish this box. That's going to put down a 5 here with the last 4. Those 4s come across, give me this 4, 3, 2. I got 5 with 9. 5 is already in third row, so 5, 9, 9, 7. We're through this grid. So just Sudoku steps at the end, but a lot of good arrow constraints through the solve, including things like thinking about, only one value for this bulb, only one value here because of the missing 1, so the different extremes of what can go in an arrow versus what can start an arrow. And even in a case like this has to be a 6 or 7, but because of that, it always has a 1 or 2 along it, and we can use that. And I don't know that I did this fully in the solve, but to say like there's a 2 just down in the space, other things like that were consequences, and really where those clusters work together was like seeing how we got some limits for this being an 8 arrow, particularly 1, 2, 5 sum, and that started to give us some placements of these values that worked out. Making this a 1 gave us 9, etc. So we've got a rhyme of the start with that 1, limiting an arrow, to over here where this 9 also limits that arrow. So a lot to go through it, but a common theme of these 3 cell and 1 column sums that is a consistent constraint. Once you figure out how to use it, you can apply it across this whole puzzle. So really beautiful challenge from Zoltán. Hope you enjoyed this video, and we'll see you again soon.